Today, we're embarking on a mission, and it sounds simple, but it's profound. We're going to use your research to really prove that moving your body consistently every day, well, it's probably the single most powerful and definitely the most accessible tool you have for personal transformation.
That's right. We've taken all this source material and synthesized it into what we're calling the pillars of daily exercise. We're not just skimming the surface benefits everyone knows. We're really digging into the, surprising cellular stuff, the neurological mechanisms, the things that truly make this habit life-changing.
And it's crucial, isn't it, to stress right at the start what we mean by daily movement.
Absolutely critical. Look, this deep dive focuses squarely on consistency, showing up, moving your body every single day. That could be a 20-minute stretch when you wake up. It could be a brisk walk at lunch, maybe some light jogging. Doesn't have to be hardcore.
Yeah, the intensity isn't the main driver here.
Not at all. The sources argue, quite strongly actually, that the compounding benefits you get from just being consistent day in, day out, that far outweigh going all out once or twice a week and then doing nothing. We're here to unpack how that simple commitment changes your chemistry, your physical structure, even how you think.
Exactly. So this isn't some pep talk about training for a marathon,
No.
It's a really close look at our biology, our physics even. We've got 12 key insights lined up, these pillars, starting with the stuff you feel almost straight away, those immediate internal shifts that movement triggers. Okay, pillar number 1, the mood boost. Everyone kind of knows you feel better after moving, right? But the critique suggested we need to go deeper than just, endorphins get released. What's really going on chemically? How does it work? Like a genuine natural antidepressant giving you that almost instant stress relief.
Right, it's more than just endorphins, though they are important. The key is it's sort of a dual chemical action. Yes, you get the endorphins, they bind to opioid receptors in your brain, give you that bit of euphoria, dampen pain signals. Feels good.
The runner's high idea, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. But maybe even more impactful for just managing everyday stress is how exercise dials down cortisol. That's your main stress hormone.
Ah, okay, so it's not just layering good feelings on top, it's actively reducing the stress chemicals themselves.
Exactly, that's the crucial part. See, when you're chronically stressed, your cortisol levels stay high, keeps you in that sort of low-grade fight or flight mode. That leads to anxiety, can contribute to depression, messes with your sleep.
That constant on-edge feeling.
Yeah. And consistent, moderate physical activity. It acts like training for your adrenal system. You give your body a controlled, healthy dose of stress, the physical effort, and this actually trains the system to get better at metabolizing and clearing out those chronic stress hormones afterwards. It becomes more efficient at returning to baseline.
That makes so much sense. So movement is like a physiological reset button, just like the sources suggested. Instead of just sitting there stewing in those stress hormones, you're using movement as the biological way to actually flush them out.
That's precisely the practical takeaway. The sources really highlight this. Just 20 to 30 minutes of intentional movement. And it can be simple stuff, like rhythmic walking, getting into a groove that can trigger this chemical reset.
So if you're having a rough afternoon, feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, instead of grabbing junk food or endlessly scrolling, the sources suggest that movement provides that balanced chemistry your brain needs to shift back towards calm. It's a far more sustainable fix, obviously. And that immediate change, you feel the clearer head, less rumination. That's proof of this powerful internal cleanup happening.
Okay, moving from the internal chemistry to, the body's most vital, pump at the heart. We know it's a muscle, and like any muscle, it responds to work. What specifically changes? What are the metrics when we commit to moving daily? How does it become a more efficient machine?
Well, the really key metric for improvement here is something called stroke volume. Basically, that's how much blood your left ventricle, the main pumping chamber, pushes out with each single beat. When you exercise regularly, your heart muscle adapts. It literally gets stronger, and the left ventricle might enlarge just slightly in a healthy way.
So the engine itself gets, physically bigger and more powerful.
Precisely. A stronger, more efficient heart pumps more blood with every beat. And what that means is it doesn't have to beat as often to circulate the same amount of oxygen and nutrients throughout your body.
Oh, so that's why athletes often have lower resting heart rates.
Exactly. That lower resting heart rate is the clearest sign of this increased efficiency. And think about it, a low resting heart rate means significantly less wear and tear on your entire cardiovascular system over your lifetime. It's preserving the machinery.
And the preventative aspect here is just huge. You mentioned in the overview that the data is pretty startling regarding daily movement and preventing heart issues.
It really is. The sources consistently point to these large-scale epidemiological studies, and they show that people who engage in regular, consistent exercise are roughly 50% half, less likely to develop major heart disease compared to people who are mostly sedentary.
Wow, 50%, that's massive.
It's huge, and it's down to that combination of better stroke volume, which helps maintain lower blood pressure naturally, and improved elasticity of your arteries. Movement keeps things flexible. And the sources really stress this. You don't need extreme workouts to get this benefit. A brisk 30-minute walk most days is enough to significantly stimulate your cardiovascular system and start reaping these rewards. It's incredibly accessible.
Okay, this one always feels like a bit of a paradox, doesn't it? You feel tired, your instinct is to conserve energy, lie down, but the sources are saying, nope, that fatigue might actually be a signal that you need to move to get more energy efficient. How does burning energy actually lead to having more energy, more alertness, more life?
Yeah, it definitely sounds backward at first glance. This takes us down to the microscopic level inside your cells. The primary reason isn't just about getting more oxygen flowing immediately, although, that helps with short-term alertness. The real long-term energy boost comes from your mitochondria.
Ah, the famous powerhouses of the cell from biology class.
Exactly those. They're responsible for creating ATP, which is basically the energy currency your cells use to do everything. Now, here's the amazing part. Regular physical stress, especially from certain kinds of movement, maybe things like short bursts of intensity, but even consistent moderate activity, it sends a specific biochemical signal inside the cell.
Like a demand signal.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It activates pathways,
Yeah.
like one called AMPK, which basically tells the cell, hey, the energy demand around here is consistently high. We need more power plants.
Okay.
And that signal forces the cell to start a process called mitochondrial biogenesis. Fancy term. But it just means the cell literally creates brand new mitochondria.
Wait, really? So we're not just getting better at using the energy we have, we're actually building more capacity to generate energy in the first place.
That's exactly it. You are literally increasing your fundamental capacity to produce energy. You're building more power plants.
Yeah.
And the existing ones often become more efficient too.
That's actually profound.
Yeah, it is. And that's why people who exercise consistently report having higher baseline energy levels and feeling more alert throughout the day. So if you're feeling chronically sluggish or you always hit that wall mid-afternoon.
Yeah, that 3 p.m. slump.
Right. It could very well be a sign that your body's energy production machinery is just under-resourced. The sources confirm that consistent movement, even if it's low impact, gradually upgrades the cellular hardware. It leads to more sustained energy, not that roller coaster you get from relying on quick fixes like caffeine or sugar.
Better sleep. I mean, that might be the holy grail for a lot of people. So many struggle with getting that deep restorative rest. We know exercise helps, but how exactly does it plug into that complex hormonal dance of our sleep-wake cycle, our circadian rhythm?
Yeah, good sleep is foundational, isn't it? Exercise helps bring order to what can be a pretty chaotic system. It basically helps sharpen the contrast between daytime active mode and nighttime rest mode. And it does this mainly through, again, hormones, managing cortisol and helping out melatonin.
Okay, we already talked about exercise helping clear out cortisol during the day, so that would stop you feeling wired when you're trying to wind down later.
Precisely. By moving during the day, you help ensure your cortisol levels naturally taper down to their lowest point by evening, which is what you need for sleep to initiate easily. If you're sedentary all day, cortisol can kind of stay elevated, interfering with that natural drop.
Makes sense. And the melatonin part.
Well, consistent activity seems to contribute to the efficient production and, crucially, the timing of melatonin release. That's the hormone that signals your body, okay, it's nighttime, time to power down. The sources show that even just 30 minutes of moderate activity, like a good walk or some gentle yoga, can significantly increase the amount of time you spend in non-REM sleep, which is that really deep, physically restorative sleep.
And that deep sleep is where all the important repair work and memory consolidation happens, right?
Absolutely. But there's that really important timing caveat we have to mention. What about people trying to cram a workout in late at night? What's the guideline there for actually helping sleep, not hurting it?
Yeah, this is critical. The rule of thumb is definitely avoid high-intensity exercise too close to bedtime. Ideally, you want nothing really strenuous within, say, 3 hours of when you plan to sleep.
Why is that?
Because if you do a really tough workout like heavy lifting or a long, hard run, your body pumps out adrenaline, your core body temperature goes up, and your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight one, stays activated for a while. That state of alertness is basically the opposite of what you need for sleep.
So you're telling your body go
Yeah.
right when you want it to stop.
Exactly. The sources strongly recommend getting your movement in during the morning or afternoon if possible. That gives your body plenty of time to cool down, let the adrenaline clear, and allow the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest system, to take over before bed. That timing really maximizes the sleep benefits. Okay, so we've covered those immediate feel-good internal chemistry benefits. Now let's shift gears a bit and look at the longer game, how daily movement literally impacts the physical structure of your body. We're talking right down to your DNA, and also how you stand, how you move through the world. This is really about adding life to your years, isn't it?
Precisely. This section deals with the fundamental building blocks and how movement preserves and improves them over time.
Right, so when we talk anti-aging, most people probably think skin creams, maybe supplements, maybe surgery. But your sources take it way deeper, down to the cellular level. Cellular youth. How on earth does just moving daily influence the aging process right down at our DNA?
Yeah, this is probably the closest thing we currently have to a genuine evidence-based anti-aging intervention.
Yeah.
It focuses on these things called telomeres.
Telomeres, I've heard of those. They're like the caps on shoelaces, right? On the ends of chromosomes.
That's the perfect analogy. They protect the ends of your DNA strands from fraying or getting damaged when your cells divide. Now, here's the link to aging. Every single time a cell divides, those telomeres naturally get a tiny bit shorter.
Okay.
And when they eventually get too short, the cell can't divide safely anymore. It enters a state called senescence. It basically stops dividing and starts to malfunction or degrade.
Oh.
And that cellular senescence is a key driver of the aging process in our tissues and organs.
Okay, so shorter telomeres equals older cells, basically. And the sources show that movement actually affects how fast they shorten.
It does. It's really quite amazing. Consistent, moderate physical activity seems to do two things. First, it reduces some of the oxidative stress and inflammation that can accelerate telomere shortening. But second, and maybe even more excitingly, it can influence an enzyme called telomerase.
And telomerase does what?
Telomerase is the enzyme that actually helps maintain or even rebuild telomere length. And some studies suggest that regular exercise can help sustain or even boost the activity of telomerase. So it's actively helping to preserve the length of those protective caps for longer.
Whoa. So we're not just slowing down the damage, we might actually be helping the repair mechanism. We're literally slowing down cellular aging. Is there any data that gives a sense of how much difference this makes, like biological age versus chronological age?
Yeah, there's some really powerful research emerging on this. Some studies comparing highly active individuals, especially those who've kept it up for life, to sedentary folks. They found that the regular exercisers can have telomere lengths that look biologically similar to people who are, get this, up to a decade younger chronologically.
A decade?
Seriously, it's like a physical measurement of slowing down the clock at the cellular level. So that daily movement isn't just making you feel better today, it's helping ensure the cells that power your organs, your brain, your muscles. They stay functional and useful for much, much longer.
Okay, let's talk structure in a more visible way. Modern life. It can be a bit of a disaster for our posture, can't it? We spend so much time sitting desks, cars, couches, often hunched over screens. This shortens some muscles, weakens others, leading to that chronic back pain, neck stiffness. What specific imbalances does sitting cause that the sources say we really need to tackle? And what's the best way to do it with movement?
Yeah, the sitting disease creates a very classic pattern of imbalance. Basically, the muscles on the front of your body, your hip flexors, your chest muscles tend to get really tight and short.
Because we're always in that flexed, hunched position.
Exactly. And at the same time, the muscles on the back of your body, your upper back muscles, and critically your glutes, your butt muscles, they become weak and lengthened, almost dormant.
Dormant glutes, is that a major problem?
It's a huge problem. Your glutes are supposed to be major powerhouses for movement and stabilizing your pelvis. When they're inactive, because you sit on them all day, other muscles have to pick up the slack, often your lower back muscles and your hamstrings. And that compensation pattern is a direct route to chronic lower back pain. Plus, those tight hip flexors pull your pelvis forward, adding even more strain.
Okay, so it's like a structural chain reaction leading to pain and poor alignment.
Yeah.
So what's the fix? The sources mentioned a solution trio.
Right. The solution needs to address all parts of the problem. So the trio is strength training, stretching mobility, and core stability.
Okay, break that down.
Strength training needs to specifically target that posterior chain, wake up those glutes, Strengthen the muscles in your back that help you stand tall. Then stretching and mobility work, things like yoga are fantastic here. They address the tightness. You need to lengthen those hip flexors, open to the chest and shoulders, restore the full range of motion.
And the core work.
That's the final piece. Targeted core exercises, focusing on the deep abdominal muscles like the transverse abdominis, help stabilize your spine and pelvis. It provides that central foundation so the limbs can move correctly without straining the back.
So the benefit isn't just less pain, right? It's more holistic, better movement, maybe even confidence.
Absolutely. When your body is aligned properly, everything works better. You put less strain on your joints, you can move more freely, more fluidly, you can even breathe more deeply because your chest isn't collapsed forward. And yes, there's definitely a confidence boost. It comes partly from feeling better physically, less pain, but also from proprioception, just having a better sense of where your body is in space. When you stand taller, you tend to feel taller, more capable. That improved physical presence really supports your mental outlook.
All right, bringing these structural and chemical benefits together leads us to the ultimate payoff: longevity. But it's not just about adding years to your life, is it? It's about adding life to those years. Health span, not just lifespan. What specific big, scary chronic diseases does consistent movement provide the strongest shield against, according to the research?
Yeah, the evidence on chronic disease prevention is just overwhelming. Daily movement acts like a powerful protective shield, significantly slashing the risk for many of the conditions that typically steal people's health and vitality as they age.
Like what specifically?
Well, type 2 diabetes is a big one. Exercise dramatically improves insulin sensitivity. It makes your cells much better at taking up glucose from your blood, which helps keep blood sugar stable. Then there are major reductions in the risk of certain types of cancer, particularly colon and breast cancer. The mechanisms are complex, but likely involve better immune function, hormonal regulation, and reduced inflammation.
And what about brain health? Protecting our minds as we get older, that's a huge concern for many people.
That might be one of the most compelling long-term investments, actually. Consistent physical activity is very strongly linked to a lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases, things like Alzheimer's disease and general dementia or cognitive decline. We'll touch on the mechanisms more later, but it involves blood flow, reducing inflammation, and stimulating growth factors in the brain.
Okay, so diabetes, cancer, brain health. What else?
Your immune system. Movement keeps it robust and responsive. Think about your lymphatic system. It carries immune cells and removes waste. But unlike your circulatory system, it doesn't have a central pump like the heart.
So how does the lymph fluid move?
Muscle contraction. Moving your body literally pumps lymph fluid around, ensuring immune cells get where they need to go and waste products get cleared out efficiently. So regular activity keeps your body's defense and cleanup crews working optimally.
So the vision the sources paint is really compelling, isn't it? It's not just about avoiding disease. It's about picturing yourself at 70, 80, even 90 and still being able to, I don't know, hike with your grandkids, go dancing, travel, just fully engage with life without being limited by your physical state.
Daily exercise is like securing that future functional independence.
That's exactly it. It's about ensuring the years you add to your life are years you can actually enjoy, years filled with capability and energy, not just existence. That, fundamentally, is why this daily habit is so essential. It's an investment in your future vitality.
Okay, we've covered the immediate boost, the long-term physical structure. Now we're shifting into the mind itself. How does daily movement actually change the way you think, learn, focus, solve problems, and even how you see yourself? This is where the physical habit starts translating into mental resilience, discipline, and real self-mastery.
Right. This is where we see the profound connection between physical action and cognitive or behavioral outcomes. The brain, our control center, we often treat it like it's just up there doing its own thing. But its function is totally dependent on the body supplying it with fuel, oxygen, and the right chemical environment. So how does movement specifically enhance those higher cognitive functions, things like memory formation and staying focused?
Well, the immediate effect, as we touched on with energy, is simply better delivery of the basics. Oxygen and glucose, the brain's primary fuels. Better blood flow means a better fed brain, which helps with alertness right away. But the really profound long-term change is actually structural.
Structural changes in the brain from walking or jogging.
Absolutely. Movement is arguably the most potent behavioral trigger we know of for neurogenesis. That means the creation of brand new brain cells. And this happens particularly in a key area called the hippocampus.
The hippocampus, that's the big one for learning and memory, right?
Yeah.
So how should we think about that improving? Like, what does that mean practically?
Think of the hippocampus as your brain's save button for new information and experiences. It's crucial for taking short-term memories and consolidating them into long-term storage. The research, including imaging studies, shows that regular aerobic exercise can physically increase the volume and neuronal density of the hippocampus. It literally gets bigger and better connected.
Wow.
And there's more. Exercise also stimulates the release of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF. You can think of BDNF as like fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps new neurons survive, grow, and form connections with other neurons.
So exercise isn't just making us feel more awake, it's literally making our brains structurally better equipped to learn and remember. That has huge implications for, well, everyone. Students, professionals, creatives.
Huge implications. If you're dealing with complex problems, trying to learn new skills, or needing sustained concentration, daily movement becomes almost indispensable. It helps filter out mental noise, allowing for deeper focus. This is why, as the sources often suggest, if you hit a mental roadblock, you're stuck on a problem. Staring blankly at a screen, often the best thing you can do is not force it, but go for a quick 15-20-minute walk.
Get the blood flowing, trigger some BDNF.
Exactly. That physical movement shifts the resources in your brain, oxygenates it, often clears the fog, and you might find the solution just pops into your head when you return.
Yeah.
It's often far superior to just sitting there grinding away.
Okay, this pillar feels really central. We're moving beyond just the physical outcomes now into behavior and character almost. The sources emphasize that a huge mental reward of daily exercise is learning to choose consistency over motivation, which we all know is fickle. What's the neurological link here? How does forcing yourself to do something physical build actual mental toughness, real resilience?
This is, I think, one of the most powerful, yet often overlooked benefits. Every single time you choose to move your body, especially when you don't feel like it, when there's that internal resistance, you're performing a small but significant act of self-mastery.
You're overriding the "I don't want a voice."
Precisely. And neurologically, you're strengthening the pathways associated with your executive functions, which are housed primarily in the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for planning, impulse control, decision-making, and critically delayed gratification, choosing the harder thing now for a better reward later.
We always hear you need motivation to start, but motivation inevitably fades. Discipline, though, it sounds like something you can actually build, like a muscle.
That's the perfect analogy, and it's the core lesson here. Discipline isn't some innate trait, it's the habit of overcoming resistance. By consistently committing to a small amount of discomfort, even just the mild discomfort of getting started on a workout in a relatively low-stakes environment, you build self-efficacy.
Meaning you start believing you can actually do hard things.
Exactly. You gather proof, day after day, that you can follow through on an intention, regardless of your mood or energy level in the moment, and this creates what some call a resilience loop. That skill, that strengthened neural pathway for overriding excuses, it translates directly into other areas of your life.
How so?
Well, if you can make yourself go for a run when you're tired and it's raining, you're building the exact same mental muscle needed to tackle a difficult project at work, or stick to a budget, or have a tough conversation. You become less likely to make excuses across the board. It teaches you, fundamentally, that growth, physical, mental, emotional, happens right at the edge of your comfort zone.
Right. Weight control. We know exercise burns calories. That's the obvious part. But the deep dive material suggests the long-term benefit for managing weight goes way beyond just the calories burned during the workout. It's about tweaking the whole metabolic engine and even our relationship with food. How does daily movement affect our baseline metabolism and, crucially, those cravings?
Yeah, the calorie burn during exercise is often less important than the downstream effects. The mechanism is really profound because it helps stabilize the entire metabolic system. Firstly, consistent daily movement is probably the single best sustainable way to increase your resting metabolic rate, or RMR.
RMR, that's how many calories you burn just sitting around, basically.
Exactly. It's the energy your body needs just to keep the lights on, breathing, circulation, cell function while you're at rest. Now, since movement, especially if it includes some resistance work, builds and maintains muscle mass, and muscle tissue is metabolically expensive, it burns significantly more calories than fat tissue, even when you're asleep.
Then having more muscle means your RMR goes up. You burn more calories 24/7.
Precisely. You effectively turn your body into a slightly hotter burning furnace all the time. That makes weight management much easier long term.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the hormonal side? Cravings and hunger.
This is huge too. Exercise has a really positive impact on hormonal balance related to appetite and energy storage. It significantly improves insulin sensitivity. Better insulin sensitivity means your cells respond better to insulin, allowing them to take up glucose from the blood more efficiently for energy, rather than signaling the body to store it as fat.
Less fat storage, better blood sugar control. Got it.
Right. And it also helps regulate the key hunger hormones, leptin, which signals fullness or satiety, and ghrelin, which signals hunger. When these are out of whack, you can feel hungry even when you've eaten enough or crave high-calorie foods. Regular exercise helps bring these hormones back into balance. For many people, this naturally leads to a reduction in cravings, especially for highly processed sugary foods. It makes sticking to healthy eating habits feel less like a constant battle.
We touched briefly on posture improving confidence earlier, but let's go deeper into the self-perception shift. The sources really argue that the confidence you get from exercise isn't primarily about looking a certain way externally, but something more internal, a feeling of competence, of trusting your own body. How does feeling physically stronger translate so directly into acting more confidently out in the world?
It's fundamentally about building confidence from the inside out, based on actual tangible evidence of your own capability. When you commit to moving every day, you inevitably start to master your physical self in small ways. You feel yourself getting incrementally stronger or more flexible or having more stamina. You can lift things easier, walk further, hold a yoga pose longer.
You're collecting proof that you can do things.
Exactly. You're constantly gathering empirical data that demonstrates you are strong, you're resilient, you can achieve progress through sustained effort. This sense of physical self-efficacy is incredibly powerful for your overall psyche.
So it shifts the focus, maybe, away from comparing yourself to some impossible external ideal and more towards your own progress.
Precisely that. You stop judging yourself against magazine covers or social media, and you start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday or last week. You see tangible progress, even if it's small, and that builds genuine self-belief. This internal confidence then naturally radiates outward.
How does that radiation happen?
Well, if you trust that your body can handle physical challenges, you become more likely to trust that your mind can handle intellectual or emotional challenges. You carry yourself differently, not just posture, but with an air of, I can handle this. This self-assurance subtly changes how you approach conversations, negotiations, public speaking, job interviews, basically any situation that requires you to put yourself out there. When you know deep down that you can rely on your physical self, that conviction tends to underpin everything else.
Okay, our final pillar. This brings us full circle, doesn't it? From the deep internal workings of our cells right out to our impact on the world around us, your choice to move daily feels like a very personal thing. But the sources insist it has this powerful, often silent ripple effect on the people in your life. How does one person just getting their workout in consistently actually inspire others?
It's the simple but profound power of behavioral modeling. You don't need to become a fitness preacher or try to drag your friends to the gym. Your consistency, your energy, your noticeable well-being, they do the talking for you.
So people just see the difference.
They do. When friends, family members, colleagues observe your sustained energy levels day after day, maybe they notice you handle stress better, you seem more positive or focused. There's often just a sense that you're reliably well. People get curious. What are you doing differently? That visible transformation becomes a form of silent motivation for them.
And it also pushes back against that idea that taking time for yourself is selfish, right?
It fundamentally reframes it, yes. We live in a culture that sometimes treats self-care, especially something like exercise that takes time, as a luxury or even a bit selfish. But when people see you consistently prioritizing your physical health, and they see the positive results, not just looking fit, but being more energetic, more present, more capable for others.
It demonstrates that it's actually foundational.
Exactly. It demonstrates that taking care of your physical self isn't selfish indulgence. It's the essential groundwork that allows you to show up more fully and effectively in all your other roles as a partner, parent, friend, employee. Your daily commitment sets a powerful yet achievable example. It shows that self-care is a prerequisite for sustained contribution, not something you do only if you have leftover time. And that positive model can make the whole idea of starting their own fitness journey feel much less daunting and much more necessary for the people watching you.
Tag outro. Wow. What an incredible journey through this research.
Yeah.
We've covered these 12 pillars, starting from that immediate chemical lift, the mood boost, the stronger heartbeat, all the way through to slowing down cellular aging. improving posture, and even boosting long-term brain health and cognitive function.
And critically, we saw how it's not just about the physical stuff, it's fundamental mental training. Sharpening your memory and focus, building genuine discipline that spills over into everything, helping regulate your metabolism and appetite naturally, and building that deep internal confidence that literally changes how you interact with the world and inspires others too.
And the core message, the ultimate takeaway from all these sources, really seems to boil down to one thing. Consistency trumps intensity every single time. You don't need to commit to hours of grueling workouts. You just need to commit to showing up, even for 15 or 20 minutes today. That small act is enough to start activating those benefits. We talked about the neurogenesis, the heart efficiency, clearing out that cortisol. Right.
Right. Which leads to maybe a final thought, a question for you, the listener, to really chew on as you step away from this deep dive. If daily movement is maybe the simplest, most accessible way to prove to yourself day after day that you do have control over your body, your choices, your habits, that you can push through resistance and be consistent,
Yeah.
then what larger, maybe more intimidating goal in your life, in your career, your relationships, your personal growth, could you finally tackle if you applied that exact same principle? That simple, powerful principle of just showing up every single day no matter what.
Use that discipline you forge on the pavement or the yoga mat or just walking around the block. Use it as the engine for your biggest ambitions. That first step is always the hardest, isn't it? But your future self, the one who's sharper, calmer, stronger, more energized, is going to be incredibly grateful that you decided to take it today.
Absolutely. So go move your body. You really do have this.